Okay, in this video, I'm going to talk about the user interface for Solidworks. So here we have a cat poop scooper that I designed. So we're going to use this just as an example. So hopefully by the end of the series, you could create something like this or anything of your own that you would like to create. But we're just going to show actual part for the sake of seeing all the different features that you have available. Okay. So first off, we look at the top. We have different things for file. So you could create a new file here. You could open the existing file that you have. You could open up a drawing if you have a drawing for your part. You could make an assembly from your part. So assembly is just different parts put together. You could save it to different places. You could save it onto your 3D experience or your PC. You could pack and go it, which is for things like if you have a bunch of different things inside the assembly and you want to make a copy and still keep all the references, you could do pack and go. You could print it, look at the properties, for example. So maybe you want to set some information in here, like if you look down, you could have a part number, revision, different things like that. So this could be useful if you're trying to create a BOM, a bill of material that will have specific information. So that's where some of the summary stuff will come in handy. And then yeah, so those are the main things for file. And then in edit, you have your typical control Z, Y, A, X, C, V. So those are typical. You have the rebuild control B, which will help you reflect any changes that you've made. And then you have roll to previous, roll to end, which is just if you have like different stages in your design, you could roll it to different things. You could suppress or unsuppress certain configurations. You could edit a sketch. And some of these other stuff I don't really use. And then for the view, you could change the way you view. So you could either control it up here with the view, or there's also these buttons here that you can control. So that will just allow you to change different view settings. So for example, you see here it has display, you have like wireframe. So this will change it into a wireframe view. You can also come here and select it. You can see um, if you hover over it, you can see it's like hidden lines visible. Um, you could show it without the hard edges. So these are all different views that you can have. This is really up to preference. Me personally, I like to use the shaded with edges, but it's really up to you. So here you have like modify. You could change the way you zoom or rotate things. So here, for example, you could go to rotate. So you could rotate it like this. You could also do pan, which will just drag right and left. And then you could also roll, which will do that. Okay, and then when you hit escape key, you'll go back to the white mouse cursor. So by default, you could do roll if you hold on to your mouse's middle button. So that's one way you could do it. But yeah, you could either go up to here or do that as well. So yeah, these are just other settings you could choose. You could go into full screen if you wanted to, and then you could press F11 to get in and out. So those are the things you could do. And then for inserts, you could insert different features. We'll talk about features later, but you could insert different things here, or you could also go into the feature tab here to do something. You have your tools. You have different things with like different selection tools you have sketch entities, sketch tools. So you could create sketches from here, or you also have your sketch tab here, which you could create different types of sketches. So if you hover over it, you can see you have a line tool, circle, spline, and so on. Okay, so there's also different things like you can set up equations. You have like macros, which will make your life easier if you want to automate some stuff. You could have add-ins if you have different toolboxes. You can see here when I click add-ins, you have like different things. So you could have like circuit design, different toolboxes for like different hardware and different things. There's also like simulation packages you could add. So that's for the view or insert, and then you have, yeah, for the tools. Then you have windows. You could choose which part you're looking at. So right now I have two parts open. You could say how they're arranged, if it's like top, bottom, side by side, and so on. And then here we have our options. You could set up different settings. So previously you went to color to set it up, but you go to each one and see which one you want to optimize. So most of the time I keep these the same. But for like document properties, one thing that I'll look at more is like the dimension. So you could choose um, if you want it to be like how many decimal places you're showing, or you could show like what dimensions you want. So you could go into each of these and see which one you like better. Okay. So you can also see the dimensions actually down here. So you could do edit document units. Then here you could see I'm in inches pound, and you could change like how many decimal places. Usually for like industry standards, you'll go up to like 3 decimal places. So you could decide if you want to design in SI units or American units. So those are different things you could play with. Okay, and then here we have what's called the, well, let's go through the different tabs. You have like markup, which I don't use too much. You have evaluate, which is nice. You have like a mass property, which can tell you how much your part weighs, things like that. You have a measuring tool, which can help you measure different parts of your design. So maybe you want to see like this curvature here, for example. You could see the radius, um, and you could do different things. You have sensors, which could help you monitor different things and how they're changing. You could do certain checks to see if there's any gaps or errors in your part. There's like thickness analysis, draft analysis. So these are all tools to see, to double check if your part is designed properly. And then there's more dimensioning tools you could use. So you could locate a dimension, you could size dimension, basic location dimension. So these are all tools to help you do some dimensions. So you can have a datum, which is like a reference point. And then for people who have PLM, which is having some like management of the history of your part, like it's almost like a version control. You could use this to do that. And then here you have your SolidWorks add-ins, so you could add in different things to, here you have the simulation and things like that. Okay, so here we have right here we have this little eye icon, so this could help you see or hide different things. So sometimes when you're designing, maybe you don't want to see a sketch. So like you could come in here and maybe I have a sketch and I could say show sketch. Then you can see like my sketch here is showing. But if you come here, you could say like hide sketch or view sketch. You could hide or show all sketches. So those are some options you have. And then you could also go in here and edit appearance. So maybe this entire scoop you want to have like a different color. You could change the color. So if I select this whole thing, you can see I can make a green scoop. I can make this pink, make it yellow. You can make it white. So you could choose any color you want, but basically you could adjust the colors there, right? And you could add like different shadow effects, ambient occlusion, perspective, cartoon, and you could just deselect it to undo it. Okay, so I think rear view graphics is not bad, but um, you could just choose something you want. And here you have, we just looked at that. So this is the different views. You could have like a top view, you could have a front view, and you can see here it'll show you what views you're looking at. Or you can also hit the space bar, and then this block will come up, and you could just hit one of the edges. So you could have isometric here, for example. You can also click this little down arrow after you hit the space bar. You could have the dimetric. You also have trimetric and the different views you have. So I typically like to go to the isometric. That's the most common one. And then you have like a zoom to fit. Let's say you zoomed out, you could hit zoom to fit. You could zoom to an area if you wanted to zoom in. Um, you could also like click a specific face and then hit the space bar and go to normal to. Those are all different ways you can navigate your part. Okay, so here inside your feature manager design tree, you could see your different planes. So when you're designing, you could choose which plane you're gonna sketch off of, and usually when I design, I'll just choose a plane that makes sense as if it were like laying on a table. So you could try to design it so that it makes sense for you. Maybe your world is upside down, who knows? But just choose a plane that makes sense to you. And then you have an origin here. The origin will be based off of these axes here, X in red, Y in green, and then Z in blue. And then for each of the operations you have, you'll have this line that you can drag, which will like roll back. So you can see like I started off this design with just this shape, and you can see step by step how I made it. So I like tapered it down, add some material, cut off some material, add some slots, and then added some fillets. So you can see it's starting to look like a scoop. And then I added some support right there, and then I added a handle and added some little features here, added more features on the bottom, added this little hook up on top, and then I mirrored this little cat symbol. So that's how I made the scoop. So here you could just roll back and see different things. You could each of these icons are features, and if you click open it, you'll see a sketch. So that's just how everything is arranged. And then if you right click it, you could do different things. You could edit a feature, you could edit the sketch inside the feature, you could suppress different parts. So when you suppress things, there's certain things that will depend on it. So if it does depend on it, then everything else will get suppressed. Um, and you could delete it, and you could change the transparency and different things. Okay, so those are most of the things for the feature manager, and then property manager right now is not being used. You have a configuration manager, so right now it's in default. You could add different configurations if you have maybe like a fat scoop, a small scoop. You could create different versions of it inside a single part. So that's where that would be useful. And then this is just for like color configurations. But most of the time, you'll just be working with this main tree here. And then you can also specify the materials. You could come here, edit materials. So you could specify which material you're using. So if you're doing some more detailed like stress tests, you could select the material that you want to have it more accurate. Okay. And then here we have the windows here. So we talked about the appearance here. You could change the appearance in your background. If you hover over it, you can see 3D experience files on this PC. You have a custom properties tab, the appearance that we just looked at. You have a view palette, and then you have a file explorer to see all the files. And then you have a design library, which you have like different toolboxes that's available. And then here you have a 3D experience little window here. Okay. So hopefully that will get you started. And as we go through more videos, we'll go into details about the different features, the different sketches, and different things to consider when designing. But hopefully this gave you a good overview of the overall user interface in SOLIDWORKS. And Yeah, if you found this video helpful, give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.